Are you dreaming of moving abroad, but for some reason you feel stuck? Maybe because you still have a 9 to 5, maybe it's family dynamics, or maybe it's finances, or other reasons where you feel like this is not possible for you. Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you an alternative to moving abroad in order to make that experience still possible, but without the full commitment of leaving the country for good. So living abroad is a big commitment, okay? Because you are basically trying to sell everything, get rid of everything, or moving everything with you to a new destination that is going to be your new home for many years to come, or maybe even forever. Okay, so it's a big deal. Mostly if you're a wife and you have kids like me, then such a commitment is even more important because, okay, what are we going to do with the kids, with their education? Is this going to be good for them? Can I pull them out of school right now or wait a few years? So many questions. It can be very overwhelming. Even just deciding on the destination, the right place for you to move to, that in itself can be very, very overwhelming. So I wanted to give you the alternative of taking something that is called a gap year. What does that mean? That means that you are not moving for good. You're just deciding to be away from the US for a specific period of time. That could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, or even more. But for the sake of this video, we're going to assume that you're going to be out for a year. Okay, you're going to commit to be out for a year without saying that, okay, I'm going to sell everything and be out and never come back, okay? Because that, again, is a big commitment. So in essence, what you're going to do is trying to take the path of least resistance. One of the challenges of moving abroad is the financial situation that you have to sustain yourself while you're abroad, but also the fact that you have to prove a certain level of income when you move into a destination in order for you to be able to stay there legally over 3 months, over 6 months, depending on the situation, okay? So coming from the perspective of somebody who has a US passport, let's say that if you wanted to move to Mexico, well, there are some requirements if you want to get residency in Mexico, okay? Financial requirements and all of that. Every country has different requirements for you to be able to move to that country. But if you were to go to these same countries on a tourist visa for a limited period of time, if you play your cards well, you can still put it out. You can still be away from the US for a year or more, but without having to apply for a residency visa. So for example, if you were interested in going to Mexico and Colombia and different countries in North and South America, then in this case, you could say that you can spend 3 months in Mexico, 3 months in Colombia, 3 months in Argentina, okay? And in this case, you are just relying on a tourist visa. Again, you need to abide by the rules. And if they say you can only be here for 3 months, then you need to prepare yourself logistically to leave the country within 3 months, okay? So same thing if you wanted to do a Europe trip, or if you wanted to do an African trip, or if you wanted to do an Asian trip, there's a lot of content like that about taking a gap year or slow traveling. So it's not about seeking residency in a specific country, but it's more about relying on a tourist visa. Now, even though you're not fully moving to that country, let's say if you can spend 3 to 6 months in a specific country on a tourist visa, or even up to a year for a country like Albania, for example, so that gives you enough time to immerse in the local culture. So it's not like you're going to be a tourist like you would be if you were staying in Paris for 2 weeks, but if you're staying in Paris for 3 months, then you have a more immersive experience there, okay? So sure, it's not a whole, okay, I'm moving there, I'm here, and that's my new home, but you can still have a good experience by being there for 3 months or more. At the end of the day, just because you have a tourist visa doesn't mean that you're on vacation. So you have to make that mindset shift and consider yourself a quote unquote resident and trying to live like a local instead of living it up and try to live like a tourist. Because if you decide to live like a tourist, you're going to spend all of your money during this gap year. And the goal is not for you to live like a tourist everywhere, but for you to have that immersive experience everywhere you go. So it's more like living like somebody who lives there instead of living like a tourist who's just going to do touristy things all the time they're there. So make sure you keep that in mind when it comes to the mindset shift that you need to make when you're exploring the option of taking a gap year versus moving abroad. Another great advantage of taking a gap year versus fully moving abroad is that you don't have that full commitment. So you don't have to sell everything, sell the house, sell everything that you have in your house and then move, because the fact that you know that you're coming back in a year or two, you can still keep the house, or you can still keep the furniture in the house and just rent it out that way, okay? So you don't have to get rid of everything because you know you're coming back. So that's less pressure on you to get rid of everything as soon as possible. Another financial advantage of taking a gap year is that more than likely your cost of living is going to be lower when you are on your gap year than if you were staying where you are. Just like in many cases, moving abroad is lowering your cost of living, taking a gap year is also lowering your cost of living. So moving abroad is not the only way for you to lower your cost of living. So even if you take one gap year abroad, you are still going to be able to save a lot of money. So I've used ChatGPT to help me map out this idea and this concept. So if we were to take a gap year versus staying in Houston, Texas, and based on what ChatGPT said, and obviously I gave it like our current budget and how many people are in my family, all of that. ChatGPT knows all of that. And depending on the destinations that we would go to, even expensive ones like Paris, France, okay? So doing a European tour, including Paris, France, and even adding Morocco into the mix during the gap year. And according to ChatGPT, we would be saving about $30,000, okay? That is a lot of money. So option one is staying here, spending the same amount of money as usual, or option two, taking a gap year and saving $30,000. I mean, which one would you do? Okay. So financially, you can save a lot of money. You don't have to commit to selling everything before you're leaving. And you can also keep making money in your online business if you have an online business, or if you're relying on retirement, if you're relying on investments or any kind of passive income that you have, then this is definitely an option that could work very, very well for you. If you want more information about starting your own online business, I have a lot of videos about that. I'm going to put a playlist right here for you. That way you can check out those videos as well. Another advantage of taking a gap here is more of an emotional slash mindset shift, because when you are moving abroad, is that one country and it's that's it. You have made the commitment to move to that country and to commit fully to that country for at least a certain amount of months. So even if you don't like it at all, more than likely you're going to spend at least 6 months there, maybe a year, and then maybe you're going to hate it and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I really don't like it. You can still leave at some point, but it's very unlikely that you're going to leave within 3 months if you don't like it, because you've made the commitment to be in that country. You've gone through the residency process, you've gone through all the paperwork, you've gone through the financial commitment, maybe you've put the down payment for your lease or things like that. And so you're going to be there in that new country that you committed to for at least 6 months to a year if you don't like it, even if you don't like it. On the other hand, if you're taking a gap year and you're saying that you're going to spend 3 months in a country and you don't like it, well, guess what? You can leave a lot sooner than 3 months. And also, if you really, really like it, but your time's up, you can come back. Okay, you can go to the next country again, depending on the visa rules, because you have to abide by those rules. But let's say you want to go to France, right? So that's your first country and you really like it. You go to the south of France, you really like it, and then your next country is, let's say, Spain. You really have to know what the Schengen rules are, so you have to do your research and make sure that you know exactly how long you can stay in each country and how long you can stay within the Schengen zone. So, for example, you could go to France for 90 days and then you're like, I really, really like it, but my time's up, because you can only stay within the Schengen territory for 90 days, okay, within a 180-day period. And so you have to be out for the next 3 months out of the Schengen territory. So what are you going to do? After France, let's say you want to go to Morocco and you spend 3 months there. You cannot stay in Morocco for longer than 3 months if you are an American citizen with a US passport, okay? So then after that, you're like, you know what? I want to go back to France. So now, again, depending on how you plan your 180-day period, you can go back to France if you want to, because you really, really liked it. Okay. But that's the flexibility that you have when it comes to taking a gap year. You don't like it, it's faster for you to get out because you're not moving with all of your furniture. You're not buying furniture. You're not doing all these full commitments that you're doing if you are really moving abroad. Okay. And so you're not getting into those contracts. So even for water, electricity, and phones and things like that, you're free of all of those bills because you're going to stay at Airbnbs. Or you could even house it if you want to do that. Okay, it's not really my thing, but if you want to house it and save on accommodation, definitely go for that option. You don't pay rent basically, and you can go from destination to destination to destination, just house sitting for other people and again making sure of all the visa requirements and everything. But that's one less thing to worry about, one less thing to budget for, and you can absolutely live your best life abroad. If you're doing it with a family with kids, it's a little tricky because you have to have a house sit that allows for kids and all of that. So it's not as easy. It's still possible, but you don't have as much flexibility than if you're by yourself or just with you and your spouse, for example. Okay. So when it comes to adjustment and not liking the destination, it's a lot easier to shift and pivot and go to another country if you're taking the gap year than if you're committing to moving to a specific country. Another reason why a gap year might work for you is if your family is not really on board with the idea of you moving abroad, and specifically if your parents or uncles or aunties don't want you taking their grandbabies and their nephews and nieces away from them. Okay, that's a real issue. And maybe you feel a little guilty. Maybe you feel like you don't want to take them away from family for too long because you need that family support. Well, taking a gap year could be a great solution for you because you're only committing for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Again, you're not taking a full on move to go on the other side of the world. Everybody knows that this is just temporary. It's like you going on a trip for a year and then knowing that you're coming back at the end of that trip. A gap year could also work for you if you don't really have clarity on where you want to move to. So instead of taking a short scouting trip, you're making a longer commitment by traveling more for a longer period of time, for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, just to figure out if those places would actually work for you as your forever home. So maybe you like Europe, but you don't really know which country in Europe would work for you. So taking a gap here, traveling around that area could be a good solution for you. So you're not fully committing to one country specifically, but you are testing a few of these countries. And again, within the time period that is allowed based on the tourist visa that you have. Okay, so it's a great way for you to test the waters and get a sense of how life would be like for you there. So it's a deeper commitment than just taking a scouting trip because you're going to be out for a few months, but it's not a full on commitment like, okay, this is it. This is the commitment to this place specifically. But if you have children and you're thinking about their education and how that is going to work when it comes to taking a gap year, I completely understand. And this is where you're going to have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, okay? If you wanted to explore the idea of unschooling, homeschooling, or anything that doesn't tie you to a specific school, a building, then if you're open to that, then taking a gap year might be a great solution for you. If you're not comfortable teaching your kids yourself, then you can connect with homeschooling hubs or even companies like Boundless Life that allow you to be in a cohort of other parents, other families in a specific area where you take care of your accommodation, your meals, everything, and basically organizing activities for your children. They're teaching your kids. They have teachers that come and teach your kids, and that removes the pressure of the parents to teach their own kids. That could be an option that could work for you if you're open to the idea of homeschooling your children, but not you necessarily, but somebody else to do it for you. And again, Boundless Life is a great program. It might not be affordable for everybody, but it definitely has a lot of advantages if you're thinking of taking a gap here but you're a little nervous about the education of your children. On the other hand, if you are confident on your ability to homeschool your kids or unschool your kids or world school your kids, however you want to call it, then a gap here would definitely be something that could work for you. Something else that I've used ChatGPT for is for it to draw a curriculum for all of my kids based on their grades, the things that they need to learn at their grade, create a curriculum for them, but also match it with a destination where we would be. So, for example, as ChatGPT, if we were in Spain between the month of March to May, put together a curriculum for my sixth grader, fourth grader, and third graders that could match things happening in the south of Spain during that time. So obviously with Easter and the Semana Santa celebrations in the south of Spain, they are really, really famous with the over-the-top celebration. That could be a great additional, great illustration, a great teaching moment for your children. So matching the curriculum that they need to have when it comes to world education, geography, history, or even language arts, and matching that with real events. These could be great ways to illustrate or support your teaching efforts when it comes to homeschooling your children as you are traveling. Okay, and that's the point of world schooling, is that not everything comes from the textbook, but it comes from life around you. Okay, so you can have fun with ChatGPT and allow it to design curriculums that could really work for you and your family, depending on the age of your children, their interests, and all of that. Definitely use ChatGPT to create something that could work for you. Whether it's to put together a personalized itinerary, like suggestion on where you should go first and then next, and also within a specific budget. Like you can tell it, okay, we want to stay in France and our budget is $5,000 tops for a family of four or a family of six. And it will suggest itineraries, cities where you should stay, areas in the city where you should stay, all of these things that will make your life a lot easier and prepare you better for your gap year. So definitely use ChatGPT for that. At the end of the day, taking a gap year is a very flexible way for you to experience life abroad with your family without locking yourself into something that you might not be 100% ready, whether it's logistically ready, financially ready, mentally ready, because it's a full commitment. Okay, it's like, okay, we're gone, we're selling everything and we're out of here. So taking a gap here gives you that flexibility, allows you to breathe a little bit, and without having to wait a whole year, 2 years, 5 years to prepare for that big move. You will still get to learn, still get to grow with your family and experience new cultures and stay within your desired budget and save a lot of money at the same time. So let me know in the comments, is the idea of taking a gap here something that is intriguing, something that you feel like could be a great alternative for you right now as you're getting ready to make your move abroad? Like, for example, if money is a big issue for your move abroad, well, taking a gap year could be a great way for you to save money so that now you can better afford and be better prepared financially for your whole move. So let me know in the comments what you think about taking a gap year. Yes, no, maybe. I'm definitely curious to know where you stand on that idea. I cannot wait to read all of your comments. And after that, make sure you watch the next video right here. Until next time, bye. So let me know in the comments your thoughts about the idea. So let me know in the comments your thoughts about